Hey guys, HDV here and welcome to a brand new video. Today we've got some pretty big information to go over. New Legend ZA leaks have popped up from Ball Guy. We also have some new Pokemon events that have been announced, some Nintendo Switch 2 price updates, a lot of things to break down today. So if you're excited for the video, drop a like down below, leave a comment, subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So, starting things off, let's quickly go over these new Pokemon event announcements. The first one is all about Pokemon Go, and more specifically, the Pokemon Go road trip. So we've got Cerebi here tweeting out saying, Cerebi update, the Pokemon Go road trip events have been officially announced. They run in July and August in Manchester, London, Paris, Valencia, Berlin, The Hague, and also Cologne as well. So the 16th of July is going to be in Manchester, the 19th of July is going to be in London, the 26th of July is going to be in Paris. On the 2nd of August, it's going to be in Valencia. On the 9th of August, it's going to be in Berlin. On the 16th of August, it's going to be in the Netherlands. And also from the 20th to the 24th of August, it's going to be at Gamescom, which Nintendo are also going to be at as well. That has since been confirmed, I'm pretty sure. But either way, that's the Pokemon Go road trip update. And then as well as that, we have a new update for Pokemon Cafe Remix. Cerebi here tweeting out saying, Cerebi update, the next Pokemon Cafe Remix event has been announced. It adds Ordino's elegant Sorair outfit into the game, and this runs from the 23rd of May, which is this Friday, 2025. So if you are playing Pokemon Cafe Mix, and this is obviously something exciting for you. But yeah, that's just a couple of miscellaneous Pokemon events that have been announced for, the future. Moving on, let's take a look at this Nintendo Switch 2 update, which is a pretty big one, and it's a good update as well, especially if you're one of the people that have not had the chance to get your hands on a Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order yet. We've got Game Rant here tweeting out saying Nintendo strikes a deal with Samsung to ramp up its production on the Nintendo Switch 2 as launch day approaches and demand remains sky high. So they say Nintendo is turning to Samsung to increase its Nintendo Switch 2 production amid skyrocketing demand. After the first Nintendo Switch experienced widespread shortages for the first few months of its life cycle, Nintendo has adjusted its approach to prevent a similar situation this time around. The latest move is that Endeavor is pegging Samsung for some Nintendo Switch 2 components to maximize manufacturing output. Those who have attempted to pre-order the Nintendo's latest console can likely attest to how difficult of obtaining it one has been. The first round of pre-orders was full of outages and confusion, and some Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order restocks sold out in minutes, painting an all too familiar picture of the system's initial stock falling below demand. Despite the pre-order chaos, Nintendo remains confident that it can meet people's availability expectations, and its deal with Samsung could help. So according to a Bloomberg report, Nintendo has tapped Samsung to manufacture processors for the Nintendo Switch 2 in hopes of increasing its production. With Samsung support, the company says it should be able to produce 20 million consoles through March 2026. Originally, Nintendo said it was aiming to make 15 million Switch 2 units for the system's first fiscal year, so the new 20 million figure suggests the company may have encountered more demand than it was initially expecting, which I think is the case. I mean, they said multiple times that there was going to be no scalping issues, there's going to be enough consoles to go around. They didn't realize how in demand this console was going to be. They were not really prepared for that, so now they're kind of scrambling to create more, all with these sort of tariffs kind of also going in and around these sort of components and going from these specific countries and stuff. It's all kind of going off. But alternatively, it could just be citing a higher number just to be safe. But in either case, it hopes Samsung will allow it to avoid the same kinds of shortages as the original Switch experienced. Then it says Samsung could help Nintendo produce 20 million Switch 2 units through March 2026. So they say Nintendo already sources some parts from Samsung, including screens and memory units, so this is far from the first collaboration between the two companies. However, choosing Samsung over Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company Limited for Switch 2 processors is a big decision, as TSMC has been the go-to source for chips across the electronics industry for years. Apparently, Nintendo did consider TSMC to produce the Nvidia-designed chipset that gives the Switch 2 10 times the power of the original, but it ultimately went with Samsung. Whatever the reasoning behind the decision, Nintendo seems hopeful that the Samsung deal will let it scale production as needed. As long as console assembly can ramp up alongside chip production, the partnership could reportedly push Nintendo Switch 2 output beyond the 20 million mark if necessary. Even if it doesn't reach that point, Nintendo's projections are in line with the original system sales, which is significant considering how the Switch toppled the PS2 as the best-selling console of all time in the US. Whether that will be enough to meet demand remains to be seen. So it is good news. They are basically ramping up production, so if you aren't able to get one for release day and stuff, you know, maybe it becomes a little bit easier to get one through this year. But again, it's one of those things. I feel like the shortages are only really hitting America though, because in the UK I've seen Amazon kind of post stock updates like 7 or 8 times, and I think if you go onto Amazon right now you could probably get one if you're in the UK. So yeah, I mean, I think it's because of tariffs and stuff for the whole America situation, but yeah, we haven't really got like many issues, which is a shame, because we're kind of overstocked in the UK and then they're understocked in the US. So it would have been nice if they sent a couple of those to the US, but it is what it is. But either way, it's good news regarding Nintendo Switch 2 and the kind of stock shortages. Hopefully it's going to kind of get a little bit better. Now, before we move on to the Pokemon Legends ZA leaks, they are story leaks, so I just want to post that at this point of the video, just so you know whether to skip that or not, because we're going to go straight into some story leaks for Legends ZA momentarily. So this is your chance to skip away from that if you don't want to know them. But if you do, then yeah, Pokemon Legends ZA story leaks are coming up. So these are the new Pokemon Legends ZA story leaks. It's been about a month since we've had some legitimate leaks, although we're expecting there are legitimate leaks. They're from Ball Guy, who is a very legitimate source. Nothing will be confirmed until we get like a new trailer or something like that. But Ball Guy has posted some new leaks for Legends ZA. You can take them with a grain of salt if you want. Obviously, we won't know, as I say, if they're true or not until we get some sort of confirmation. But this has been the first time that he's posted anything in a month. And it's some pretty big information as well. It's about like the evil teams and kind of different arcs to do with the story. So yeah, it's quite exciting, to be fair. It sounds very, very good. But anyway, these are some story leaks. So if you don't want to see them, obviously skip over. But we have Ball Guy here tweeting out saying, Legends, back with more. Probably irrelevant stuff to most, but let's face it, what hasn't been leaked? Hope you guys are well. No riddles, 0 games. So there's no Riddler Coup stuff going on here. They are just posting straight up to the point leaks. We haven't really had Riddler Coup post anything lately. Maybe that's just because everything's been leaked already, so he's not really got any riddles to do. Like, he was riddling the Mega Evolutions, but they all kind of got leaked. And to do with the story and stuff, that's all kind of been leaked as well. But anyway, let's take a look at these Legends ZA leaks. So, various arcs throughout the game that help rank progression, such as Tournament Arc, Mafia Arc, Detective Arc, etc. etc. So there's going to be multiple arcs. So there's not just going to be 3, but because they're obviously saying etc. So there's going to be a few more than that. So multiple different arcs throughout the story that helps with rank progression. Events that happen in the city that you are tasked with dealing with. So I don't think it's going to be like a real-time event or whatever, like Nintendo, like Game Freak putting the event in the game. I think it's just going to be an event in-game that's already there. So the tournament arc is essentially an entire Battle Maison reference and is ran by Jacinth, I think that's how you pronounce the name, who is a new character. She uses Mega Dragonite and has an extremely buff maid partner who uses Mega Drampa. So that kind of strikes me as a double battle situation, unless you battle the maid first and then you battle Jacinth. But she says buff maid partner, so I assume you'd battle them at the same time. Don't know how double battles would work in this kind of real-time battle situation, but apparently that is going to be something that's happening. So that's one of the arcs. We also have the Mafia arc as well. So the top boss is Corivau, another new character who uses a Mega Scolipede. His second in command to the Mafia, known as Philippe, has Skarmory. So Mega Skarmory, Mega Scolipede, Mega Dragonite, and Mega Drampa being used so far from these sort of arcs. And I assume the Mafia arc is kind of like the mini evil team in this game, because they're the Mafia. And then also we have Team Flare that has a food truck, which is run by Zerosic. His new name is Grisham. So again, don't know why none of Team Flare have been arrested or anything like that. They've all just kind of gotten away with trying to destroy the world or whatever. But he's now got a food truck, so he's doing all right for himself, but probably should be behind bars. And then we have Lysander, and Zygarde connection allows Lysander to speak for Zygarde, essentially. Similar to telepathy, if you will. So I think that's going to be very similar to the Calyrex situation in the Crown Tundra, where it telepathically kind of speaks through, what's his name, Rose's brother or whatever, I can't remember his name, but he basically Calyrex basically speaks through him. So Zygarde is going to talk in this game, but he's going to talk through Zygarde. So Zygarde's going to interpret it, and then he's going to Lysander's going to interpret it and tell us what Zygarde is saying, which is kind of cool. So we get to speak to Zygarde in this game. And remember, they are linked, so they're good friends, they're best buds in this game for whatever reason. And then it says, also, to kick the door open for theories, there's no set rank for characters really, and they are not attached by name. Yvonne and Zack are just early generic characters and don't really set a standard. So it's not going to be where every character that is in this sort of rank up thing starts with that. So you wouldn't have like the M character being called Mark or anything. It's just that Yvonne and Zack are really generic characters. They don't really set a standard. But for, a lot of them, there's no set rank for characters really, and they are not attached by name. So really anybody can appear for these rank up battles, which is cool. It's just the first two are going to be some randomers that you fight, which is fair enough because you kind of have to get into it a little bit. So yeah, some really interesting story leaks here. I like the kind of, it just kind of gives you Scarlet and Violet vibes where there's like 3 different things to do, but I don't think they are all at the same time. I think they are just going to be chronological. Like you'll do the tournament arc, and then you'll do the Mafia arc, and then you'll do whatever arc. The detective arc, I assume, is going to be like the whole Looker situation. They haven't really said anything about that. But yeah, don't know how many arcs there's going to be, but there's going to be multiple, and we have a bit of information on the tournament and the Mafia. I mean, I guess they are some sort of evil team, but they also don't seem like an evil team in that sense. I think the main information is that we can actually talk to Zygarde and stuff, and that the story is kind of... I just feel like more and more things are getting added to the story. Like, the whole point of Legends EA is that it's this redevelopment plan, and we've not really heard anything about that. I don't even know if they've just scrapped that completely, because now the whole point of it is ranking up from Z to A, and now there's these arcs as well. When are we going to be redeveloping the city? Is that just going to be going on in the background? It just feels like there's loads of things being added to the story, which is, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if they haven't really spoke about that in any trailers either. So maybe the next trailer they go into more detail about it, but I feel like we're just not redeveloping the city anymore, because it looks fine when we go into the game because all the different kind of wild zones are there. We just have to rank up to be able to go to them. So the city looks fine. It doesn't look like it needs rebuilding. There's scaffolding and stuff all around. We've seen that multiple times, but that could just be some random people working on certain buildings. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But those are the Legends ZA latest leaks. Let me know your thoughts on them. Do you like these arcs and stuff? I think it could be kind of fun. But yeah, obviously shout out to Ball Guy for giving us these leaks. Maybe he's going to give us some more soon. Who knows? He hasn't said anything about the next trailer. Moot said stuff about the next trailer. We just don't know when that's going to be. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on that. Latest Legends ZA leaks. Do with them as you will. Moving on, we do have a Nintendo Switch 2 update to go over as well. We've got the trade association behind CES warning that game console prices could rise by up to 69%, an average of $428 per unit in the US if the Trump pause global tariffs are applied in July. Remember, these tariffs are on pause right now for 90 days. Luckily, the Nintendo Switch 2 is out before this kind of pause ends. But once that pause ends, they could skyrocket. If no deals are made, then you could be looking to pay a lot of money for a Nintendo Switch 2 console. So it's one of those, like, you buy it now so you don't have to deal with that increase. It's one of those, it's hard to say really, because maybe you don't have the money right now, and then because you don't have the money right now, you're then going to have to pay even more in the future because of these tariffs. It's a horrible situation, really, but this is kind of an update regarding it. So the trade association behind the CES tech event has warned that the tariffs could lead to console prices rising up by nearly 70% in the US. Again, this just affects the US because obviously tariffs and stuff like that. The Consumer Technology Association, CTA, published a report in January by the Trade Partnership Worldwide LLC, which studied the potential impact of the US president's tariffs based on his campaign promises. So now the CTA has published an updated version of the TPW's report, which assesses the impact of the actual tariffs now they've been confirmed. So the report focuses on consumer tech, including video game consoles, laptops, I think that's supposed to be tablets, not tables, smartphones, monitors, computer accessories, and connected devices. A universal 10% tariff implemented went into effect on the 5th of April. Other tariffs were also announced by numerous countries, that most of these were paused for 90 days on the 9th of April, with the exception of China, which currently has tariffs of 145%. According to the TPW's report, If the pause on tariffs ends in July and the higher rates are applied as they currently stand, the price of tech goods could rise drastically in the US, with estimated increases ranging from 24% on desktop PCs and 38.8% on smartphones to a huge 69.4% on video game consoles. And that's not just affecting the Switch 2, that's affecting the PS5, everything like that. The report claims that because 87% of video game consoles come from China, its 145% rate means the average retail cost of a games console could potentially rise by as much as $428 per unit. It also estimates that this would result in a loss of $12 billion of consumer spending power on consoles due to higher prices. So that could mean that the Switch 2 could reach up to like $800-900 in a worst case scenario. You know, this is hopefully not going to happen, but in a worst case scenario, you're basically paying scalping prices really for the console, which means that scalping prices will go above $1,000 for a console. It's crazy, man. The global economy has already seen price increases in the video game console market even before many of Trump tariffs are set to kick in. Last week, Microsoft announced it was going to be raising prices on the Xbox consoles globally, with the US price of Xbox Series X going from $499 to $599, and a 2TB version going from $599 to $729. Xbox Series S consoles, meanwhile, have been given an $80 price increase. And then last month, Sony announced that it was increasing the price of its PS5 consoles for the second time in some regions. PS5 Digital Edition has basically gone up, yada yada yada. The US is one of the few countries that have yet to be affected by PS5 price increases, but with Trump's global tariffs still on track to come into play in July, it remains to be seen whether this will remain the case. Nintendo delayed the opening of pre-orders for its upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 console, confirming that the delay was caused by US economic uncertainty. It eventually opened US pre-orders in late April without changing the console's price, but it did raise the price of some Switch 2 accessories in the US and warned that other adjustments to the price of any Nintendo product are also possible in the future, depending on market conditions. So, yeah, sorry to be a bit of a doom and gloom about it, but I'm just keeping you guys in the loop. I'm just saying, you know, this is a possibility that could happen. You know, if everything does go wrong and these kind of deals aren't made and stuff, then it could be $700, $800, $900 for a console, which is just absolutely bizarre. It's ridiculous that we're even in this position, but I'm just giving you guys the kind of heads up that this is potentially going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't. Like I say, this is a worst case scenario, but it is a possibility. But anyway, wanted to keep you guys up in the loop with that. So let me know your thoughts on it. Obviously, it's a bad thing, but yeah, if you haven't pre-ordered a console yet and you do have the money and you may be waiting for it, it potentially could be a better idea to get it now sooner rather than later. But you know, I'm not going to tell you guys what to do with your money. It's your decision at the end of the day. Just giving you the information that you need. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that and everything else we covered as well, and also the Legend ZA leaks as well in regards to the story and everything. But thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. It's trying to hit 500. It really helps out. Leave a comment, subscribe if you're brand new, ring the notification bell for daily Pokemon content. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and until next time, peace.